Welcome back to the Big Blue Workshop. This video is a video that shows how I lay down stencils and paint cornhole boards. I buy my stuff from US Cutter. I've got a US Cutter 24-inch vinyl cutter, and I use their what they call Aura Mask is what it's called. And my vinyl cutter cuts a stencil. I lay down the different colors. It's several steps. But I thought I'd just make a video to show you how I do it. Maybe the US Cutter people will get some ideas, who knows. But take a look. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and definitely click subscribe and click like if you like it. And take a look at some of the other videos on the page. Have fun. I use a semi-gloss clear coat that is a water-based clear coat. And I start by spraying off the boards on the bottom side with an air hose, and I wipe them down, and then I spray the bottoms of the boards with that clear coat. I put 2 coats of this clear on the bottoms of the boards before I do anything. Once I get the bottoms done, I flip them over and I spray 2 coats of clear on the tops of the boards, and then I come back with a 3rd coat using a brush and a foam brush, and I found that just gives me a thicker coat to put on top of the board. The reason I do this is because when I lay that stencil down, if I don't put 3 good coats of clear on this plywood, it actually will rip the top layer of the plywood and cause real problems. While I'm letting that clear coat dry, I go back in and I work on the renderings, and then I plug my rendering into my vinyl cutting software. I always make sure I use registration marks if I'm doing more than one color. That way I can lay the colors right on top of each other and not have any gaps. The vinyl cutter I use is 24-inch wide, and it doesn't take too long to cut out my stencils. Once my stencils are cut, I begin the painstaking task of what they call weeding, which is pulling the part out that you want the paint to be in. And you can see here I'm pulling the registration marks out first, and then I go on to the actual patterns for each color. Before I put any color on the board, I actually cover the edges of the wood because I like to leave those a natural color. So I use the wide 2-inch tape to cover those up first, and then I start laying down my actual tape and my stencil. I decided when I started doing cornhole boards that I wanted to kind of have a signature look, so I use a triangle shape up in the top corners of the boards, and I just mark that off with painter's tape, and then I lay my stencil down at the bottom of the board, and I think it gives it a nice clean look. When I actually lay the template down on the transfer paper, I make sure that I pull all the bubbles out. I actually use a squeegee that US Cutter actually makes, and then when I pull the backing off, I lay it back on the stencil a little bit above the bottom of the stencil so that I can find the registration marks without the whole thing sticking to the cornhole board. If I'm doing a second stripe on the board, I usually do it the same color as the first color I'm going to paint on the stencils. So you can see here I painted the gray stripes and the gray frog for the TCU horn frogs. And then here I'm actually laying out where I'm going to line my tape up for the second color, which is purple. Once I have the stencil laid out for the second color, I mask everything off and I paint the bottom side of the board first, and then I flip it over and paint the main color on the top. This set has a third color, which is a detail color in black, and so I just went ahead and lined up that bottom section, and I'll just mask off the whole top of the board. I use the backing for this transfer paper as a or it's actually the backing for the stencil paper as a mask. There's no sense in wasting it, and it's you know, free masking, and it's got a wax backing on it so it doesn't stick to any paint that might be on the board. Once I've finished with all the colors and remove all the masking, I actually put down 2 coats of clear on the boards, and then I take it into my shop and add all the features on the bottom of the board, like the hinges for the doors and the legs. Once I get the legs installed, I flip the board back over and I sand it down with 220 grit on a random orbit sander, and that pulls any imperfections out of the paint and allows me to lay the final 2 coats down with a lot cleaner surface. I actually use a ultra fine sanding pad to finish it off. I've found that a foam brush to finish the final 2 coats is actually a little bit cleaner and a little more consistent than trying to spray the final 2 coats on the boards, and it just gives me a slicker surface once I'm done. So that's just a short way that I wanted to show how I do my painting on my cornhole boards. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, but I think folks really respond well to it. And yeah, I do use shaker cans. I've found that I've got an automotive sprayer that I have access to, that I use to paint my clear coats, but it's just not what I really have found is the most effective way to put the color down on the boards. So if you have any other ideas, feel free to send me a comment or take a look at my Instagram page, put a comment there as well. Have a great day.